Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome. Uh, Today I'm going to be starting or rather, I'm going to be trying to do something a little bit different in format. That is, the premise that I'm working under is that I just talk about games I like, explain why I like them, possibly throw out a few caveats as to why uh, anyone listening might not want to get into the game, because I'm biased, but I want to, like, how do I put this? Stay somewhat objective, because perfection is not really a thing that exists as a static thing. What I like is not necessarily something that everyone's going to like. But I'm going to talk about why I like it. And I'll also mention things that that I could see other people not liking. So, with that out of the way, this is Limbus Company. It's a gacha game by a studio known as Project Moon. This is their third game. I'm very fond of all three of their games, and actually, part of the reason why I even played Limbus Company in the first place, because I traditionally was never really super fond of the idea of gachas. I sort of viewed it as one step removed from the exploitative marketing that you see in some games, where it's just like, oh, it's a Skinner box. It's just trying to prey on human psychology to siphon money from people who unfortunately don't know better. Thankfully, this is a little bit more game and a little bit less gacha. It's still gacha though. Like, don't get me wrong. Look at this. It's you got paid extractions. You get a lot of free current. Well, yeah, free currency. I've only been buying the battle pass, but if I was wasteful with my money, there's a lot of ways for me to waste it. But thankfully, this game is generous enough that you really don't have to if you just like play long term, and you don't even have to play daily. Like a lot of gacha games, sort of tie the gacha currencies to daily quests. Limbus does all of that with the weekly stuff, which is nice. But who cares? That's the stuff that I think is kind of suspect about the game. Long story short, I think it's gacha, but it's really not all that bad as far in that regards. But at the same time, I don't play the game because it's gacha. I play the game because I like the gameplay and I like the story. So here's the menu for various game modes. You have the story mode. You have farming mode, which thankfully you don't have to interface with too much. It has an energy bar system. That's one of those things where, despite this being a gacha game, I still like it. But long story short, you can get character upgrade items as long as you have energy, and that's about it. It's the weakest game mode. Don't worry about it. The bread and butter of this game, though, is that it is the gameplay is surprisingly, well, not actually. If you know Project Moon, they tend to have interesting gameplay. And before I go too far off track, this is going to be very rambly, of course, but I feel like Project Moon's greatest strength as a developer is they are very obsessive about tying gameplay to the world building. I would say about 95 to 99% of all game mechanics in Limbus Company, and honestly, even their other games, are canonical to this, or like canon to the story. Gotcha system, it's canon. Everything your characters can do, canon. The autoplay mode, it's canon. Not the part where you use it, but the part where you could just be like, yeah, everyone just do what you want. That it is mentioned once or twice that is something that is done in story. And I think that's kind of great. As for the story itself, it's kind of hard to talk about. I don't think I could really give a synopsis that does it justice. But just look at, like, there's a lot of the game's been out for a while. It's been out for over a year now, and we have, I think when the game first released, it was just this, and now it's gotten this far. I think if I were to make a sell in this game, it's got a good story, and it's sort of like the modern equivalent of some of those radio stories from back in the day, where every few months or every few weeks, every few months, you get an update to the story, and it just keeps going, and you just like make a habit of checking in every once in a while. I feel like that's one of the real strengths of the free-to-play model, where I'm very fond of the just like straight up buy your game, you have play it, like binge it for tens to hundreds of hours, and then you're sort of done with it. This is sort of the opposite, where every few weeks, every month, you can just check in and be like, oh shit, there's some new stuff. Spend a few hours, spend a day, just check it out, and be like, oh, okay, see you again next month, Limbus Company, and you're good to go. It's still a positive experience. Like, I wouldn't recommend this as your forever game where you just like, you just got off work, you boot up the computer, and it's Limbus time. There are people who do that probably, but I don't think that's really the best use of Limbus Company. It's a game to just check out, play the story, maybe do your weeklies. The gameplay itself is kind of fun. Like, though more of a phone game thing. Like, it's a good time waster, and it's got some grind options. I guess I don't really want to spoil too much as far as story goes. But I guess the synopsis and maybe just example of gameplay is probably in order. So, essentially, a lot of the story comes down to the world building of Limbus Company. It's in a place called the City. The city has alphabetical districts, and each of them is controlled by a company. And a whole lot of this story is just going around with you and your squad of 12 people, and hunting for the MacGuffin. In this case, I believe they're called Golden Bows. So you go to various fantastical and dystopian settings. Each chapter is based on one of your 12 companions. Each of your companions is based off of literary works from various sources. We have Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. We have Ishmael from Moby Dick. Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment. Sinclair. I don't remember what his book was, but because where the author was Upton Sinclair, so I think that was part of it. We have Odysseus from the Odyssey. Gregor from the Metamorphosis. Hong Lu from a very large collection of Chinese books that I, off the top of my head, can't remember the titles of. Meersalt from The Stranger. Ryoshu from a Japanese short story. I think Hong Lu and Ryoshu had different names too, because in their source materials, but their source materials are that Don Quixote from Don Quixote, Faust from Faust, and Yi Sang, who, unlike a lot of the others, was actually just the author rather than. Actually, I think Yi Sang and Sinclair were authors rather than characters from a work, if I remember correctly. And Yi Sang was a prolific Korean poet, if I understand correctly. Either way, you have these 12 characters. The gacha system is about using alternate variations of them. You have the base one, and then and you can play through the whole game with just the base. Like that's one of the other things that makes the gacha system very, what's the word, friendly? You really don't only have to interact with it as much as you want. Even if you play minimally, you can still get like one good ID for most characters within a time frame. Not immediately, but reasonably. Also, there is a friend system where you can just borrow good IDs if you really... so you could basically have access to at least one good ID at any given time, as long as you just realize there is a friend menu. And you can just like randomly send friend requests, and generally speaking, every time I've tried it, people generally just are like, "Oh, cool, friend," and then you're set. Okay. Last but not least, I should probably just give a look at the gameplay. I'll be covering all of Project Moon's games, and the gameplay is fairly similar to another one, Library of Runa, which is in a way the prototype for this game, I feel. Though it goes back to that thing I was saying earlier, where it's just like, I really like spend a lump sum, you buy a game, you spend tens to hundreds of hours in it, and that's sort of it. Runa is that model for this framework, for the same framework. And truth be told, that's probably one of the reasons why I recommend both games. The framework is good to the extent where it doesn't really matter how they're selling it. It's just good in both cases. Runa is also interesting because despite being the lump sum, you just buy a game and it's done. It was on early access for months, and they were updating it weekly, which sort of conditioned me to enjoy the Limbus style too. Because Runa came out, it was early access, and they just like updated it every week or every other week for what had to have been like close to a year. Like, that's another thing about Project Moon. Gacha games, early access, I was used to that shit being scams. And I had to rethink some things after experiencing their products. Okay, so here we have one of the main gameplay modes for this game. I would say the notable ones are the story, which is sort of just one time. You just clear everything. You're in there for the ride. It's pretty good. But here we have roguelike mode, which is infinitely farmable. You get actual gacha currency for doing so. It has a weekly reward of 750 lunacy, which is about half of a 10 roll. And you also just get a bunch of tickets, which could be used to get anything you want from the store, depending on a few caveats, which I will not explain in this video. Then we have the challenge mode, which they haven't done too many of these. Unfortunately, I don't think they're doing one soon either. But basically, you have a challenge mode with bosses, and you clear them as fast as you can. If you clear them fast enough, you get what is it? Prestige banners and stuff. But also, if you clear it once, you just get a bunch of gacha currency and stuff. It's all very nice. But I'll just do a quick demo of the roguelite mode. I'm not doing the whole thing. The whole thing can take an hour or more. But basically, you start. You can pick your team. In Limbus Company, team building is pretty often just... does your dudes use the same stats effect? That's probably a good idea. This testing build is just something that I was trying to mix and match. I think I was testing Rupture a bit. I was gonna try a Bleeded Rupture build, I think. So let's see here. Rupture, and then does both. Okay, we're good. Did we use... I think, yep. So this should be reasonably overpowered. You got a whole bunch of options which you can use to boost your characters, but that's neither here nor there. Because that's not the important bit. There we go. Bleed stuff good. And I'm not going to mention too much about this, so... There we go. Actually, we have more bleed than rupture, so how's about... Nah, how about... Rupture's gonna need a lot more help, so... Let's go Rupture. Select. And sure, why not? I get all three of these. Select. And in this mode, you get to choose combat encounters or non-combat encounters that can be combat. You get modifier or items that modify your gameplay. It's all very cool. A lot of these things can also just turn into boss battles. So here we are. Finally to the combat that I wanted to show off. There we go. We have 7. And everyone who's got a blue name is backup. So when one of the initial 7 die, the backups will jump in and take their place. There's 2 forms of combat in Limbus Company: boss fights and standard fights. In standard fights, you scroll this and you just form a line. In boss fights, you individually choose who fights. Easy way to. It's not particularly difficult, but there's room for mechanical depth in it. And I like mechanical depth, especially for a game that's somewhat built for phones. Somewhat novel. They also made the gameplay a bit of a spectacle, because basically, to an extent, it's sort of an auto battler, where you just you tell your troops what to do, and then they do it, and you get to watch them enact your command. That's basically the gameplay loop. But at the same time, there's a lot of small things to keep track of. I'm using an optimized team, so my status buffs are going crazy. Also, in the roguelite mode, you tend to have things that allow you to stack your debuffs a whole lot easier than you otherwise would be able to. Also, this is the type of mode where the very first stages are really, really easy, and the later stages are not so much. And there's other small things you can do, like everyone's got super moves that you can command them to do in place of their normal attacks, and you can time that. You have some bonus options that you get later in the story that allow you to impact the battle as well. This should be the other type of battle where it's just form a line. There's all kinds of small mechanics to keep track of, like if you get bonuses for using the same color of attacks, so you can build your team around having like more blues, or you have like one or two colors where you just are very heavily saturated, so you could just like form a line of those. This team comp's not really all that balanced with it, but it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, the gameplay is, I would go with a little bit above passable. It's like the gameplay is good enough that I do not begrudge playing this game. How do I put this? This game is free to play. It's got the gacha stuff where it's just like, you gotta play every week or so to get your resources. I don't begrudge that. The game's fun enough that playing it once or twice a week, it's not a hassle. In fact, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I don't mind doing that. Sometimes I'll even play closer to daily if I so feel like it. The main highlight of the game for me is definitely when story content comes out, and I just like binge that every time, and I keep track of it. I'm just like, oh shit, it's story week, and it's a highlight of my week. But even outside of content weeks, it's fun enough to just like have an excuse to play the game. That being said, for the as far as games that I would play regularly, there's plenty of games that compete with it. Like, I really do love my Total Warhammer. I love my I don't know about. I still enjoy playing World of Warcraft, but it's sort of another weird case of it's not. World of Warcraft's definitely closer to a forever game, but it's a similar example of I played the game because of something, or because of one of the features, and there's plenty of features that I'm not 100% jiving with. I think throughout this ramble, I've made my opinion on gacha games kind of clear, where I definitely would recommend using several grains of salt whenever you evaluate a gacha game. Limbus Company, I think, is game enough that the gacha isn't an issue. But at the same time, if you press every button, you're just like, oh, I must spend money. You really don't have to, but I like Project Moon enough that I myself just spend I just get the battle pass every time it comes out. I've done it since the game came out. There's been 7 seasons, so I guess I've bought 7 battle passes at this point, which is a fair bit of money as far as games go. But I never really felt like I had to. It's more a matter of I really like what they're doing and I want to support it. And that's to the extent where I'm not really going to go through their money menu and just going to skip this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I'm not really going to buy the $70 bundle with catch-up resources and stuff. That's just not my thing. But I will say, if you're going to spend money in the Limbus Company, I would recommend waiting for a season to start and then buying the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass is a really good value. With it, you can basically get your account to whatever state you want it to be, because the Battle Pass is tied to more efficient grinding. And keep in mind, I don't think grinding is particularly necessary in this game. But if you wanted to, I would recommend getting the Battle Pass and getting it early in the season. Because it's the type that the later in the season, the less value you get. The value is still there, and you could pretty easily clear the Battle Pass, but the real value is just like... Well, now that we could afford done the demo, might as well just move to that and cap this off. So I can show, So here's the Battle Pass menu. As I was saying, I buy at the start of each season. I've gone to 5 times the max level of this, mostly just through doing the weeklies. I have not... Well, this is pretty standard stuff. Like, I don't even clear all the weeklies. You can see here that there's proof, because here we have dailies. I've done thread excavation 16 times over the course of 4 months, and we're still at this point where 607 Battle Pass caps at 120. Most of that comes from the from doing my weekly Mirror Dungeon run. I'm pretty happy with it. So basically, Battle Pass gives you a lot of rewards. That's nice, but the real value is this part right here. Every level you get past the max, you get boxes. The boxes can be used to get any character you want. You get to choose shards. The shards can be invested in a character, and then you can go to the dispenser, and if you have 400 shards, you can just outright buy any skin or super attack for that character for the cheap price of 400, which I say sarcastically, but at the same time, it's better than some games where it's the cheap price of $80 and gambling, or $100 and gambling, or $1,000 and gambling. In this case, it's just, if you grind and wait a bit, you can just get whatever crazy character you want, and you're good. And you can even figure out which characters you want somewhat organically just by borrowing them from your friends. Because you can just load it up and have people try out your loadouts. Like, it's all very generous. And even the quote-unquote limited characters can be collected this way. It's just that you can only buy them with boxes while the limited events are going on, which aren't necessarily frequent, but they do happen. We're currently in one right now, so if you're watching this video a few weeks later, it'll be a bit, but months, yeah, it'll probably happen sooner or later. Anyway, I'm sure that was probably not the best sell you'll ever hear for Limbus Company. A lot of people are fond of Project Moon. I'm fond of them myself. As far as game companies go, they are a true underdog's tale. Their company president has a certain level of silly charisma. I think one of the things that makes this game most forgivable as a gacha is they are constantly looking for excuses to give you currency. Like, here we go. Recently they had a collab with another game called Arknights, and having deemed the collab a success, they're just like, here, everybody, have a 10 roll. Like, I am 99% sure that during his lunch break, he is looking for excuses to give us random gacha currency. And honestly, it's just kind of fun. I think it's endearing to a certain degree. There's even a long-running meme in the community where it's just like, oh shit, there's a typo on this character. I demand my 300 lunacy. Because here we have, like, every week we get 300 just because there's, like, they shut down the game for an hour or two and they do maintenance, and there's like, here 300 have 2 rolls. And every other patch there's a bug, and they're just like, oh shit, we screwed up. Have 3 rolls. Which will be, which you can see here, where it's error, compensation. Pretty funny one of that, where it's so you have the let's see, how many do we have? So we have the collab happen. I think the game had its maximum, the largest number of people playing the game simultaneously at the same time, and they're just like, oh shit, everyone have a 10 roll. And then they're just like, oh, we screwed up one of the gacha events items was bugged, so everyone gets 500 lunacy. Also, it was successful, so everyone gets another 10 roll. For context, this game has a pity system. You need 200 rolls to reach pity. Usually you don't need to go that far to get... Like, you usually don't need to get pity to get what you want. But during the collab event, we got without even looking into the actual event rewards, we got 1/10 of a pity, just cause. As you can see here, like, long history. Yeah, this goes back all the way too. But as far as the company goes, they're like the nicest company I've ever seen, which I don't say lightly. And I wish them the best. And that's part of the reason why I'm probably starting, or why I'm starting with their games first. I really do enjoy Project Moon games. Limbus Company has been a lot of fun to play for the year and a half that's been out. I believe it came out February last year, and it's been a joy to play. Project Moon has a real talent for having memorable moments in their games. The story is good. The characters are constantly fleshed out. The real power of the story is character development and world building. The stories themselves are nice, but you're always looking forward to seeing what the characters will do and how and what small details you'll learn about the world or them. And I think that's really good. Like, it's rare to see stuff like that. And glad to see it. If you found it interesting, Limbus Company is, unlike the other ones I'll be talking about, it's free to play. You can play it on your phone. You can play it on Steam. I've been done both. It works functionally great on both. And I obviously recommend it because I took the time to make a whole bloody video for it. If you got this far, thanks for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Check out more of my videos if you would like. Thank you very much. Have a good one.